Hi everyone, welcome to another edition of the Lunar Orbit podcast, where I provide timely updates and fresh thoughts on the Terra lunar ecosystem. My name is Gerry, and today is Wednesday the 3rd of February 2022. Okay, let's get into it. So today I'm going to cover the big news part of the REDACTED series, 2 of 3. Some info's been released on that. Then I'll be talking about the Galactic Grids and Colonies NFT drop. Next up is Stader Labs Stake Plus. And lastly, I'll be talking about the Prism Forge and an estimation on the yield that X-Prism is going to generate. So first up, REDACTED 2 of 3. What am I talking about? So the start of the year, Kwon put out a pretty cryptic tweet about 3 things that were going to be dropping soon that were really going to drive the ecosystem forward. And they became known as REDACTED. Everyone's been talking about REDACTED. Even Terra Money Twitter page themselves refer to it as REDACTED. So 1 of 3 was the Lunar Financial Guard, which I've talked about previously, where Terraform Labs is trying to decentralize itself. And one thing within that, if you go to their page under Mission and Vision at the bottom, there is another section that's redacted. So I have a feeling this might be REDACTED 3 of 3. And if I was to guess, it could have something to do with the Vertex Protocol. Perhaps the Lunar Financial Guard is going to fund the Vertex Protocol for basically stable coins and FX exchange. So the FX market is massive. It's the biggest financial market on Earth, swapping between different currencies, basically. So yeah, if that takes off, you can see they're flagging this is going to help drive UST to $100 billion market cap. And Doe himself has alluded to that figure being attainable within 2022. So if I was to guess, that might have something to do with REDACTED 3 of 3. REDACTED 1 of 3 was the Lunar Financial Guard itself being launched to help decentralize Terraform Labs. And REDACTED 2 of 3 has just dropped this morning. So this came out. So REDACTED number 2 is in full swing with this proposal that Doe has put out. So the proposal is to fund a partnership with a major sporting franchise in the US. So having a look at this, he's requesting for $40 million worth of UST to basically set up an exclusive club, a premium club, within one of the sporting franchises. So the Terra Club. So it sounds pretty interesting. It certainly sounds like it's being pitched to one of the major franchises, because if you look in the details here, 67% of club members earn an income of $125,000 a year or more. So that's a pretty high income. So obviously sporting clubs, with any of these franchises are pretty highly sought after by people with money. So I just don't know the details. Someone possibly can work this out and reverse engineer this sort of thing. The club hasn't been announced, but they are part of one of the 4 big sporting leagues. So I hope it's an NBA team, because basketball is massive, not just in the US, but globally. And it's become quite crypto friendly. So the Staples Center, the home of the Lakers, Crypto.com, bought the naming rights for 19 years for that. So that's massive. That's a huge deal. And it's going to make crypto mainstream, commonplace for normal people. They'll feel far more comfortable over time coming into the Crypto.com arena and going, yeah, okay, crypto's a normal thing. It's legit. And then, imagine if Terra had the Lakers sort of premium club, and it was in such a crypto-friendly environment. Like that's massive. So similarly, FTX, they got a 19-year deal for $135 million on the Miami Heat stadium. So it's FTX Arena. So you can see basketball in particular seems to be becoming crypto-friendly. So that's pretty big news. Will be interesting to see how this one plays out. And, it'd be really cool if we got a major franchise like the Lakers, or maybe like, the New York Yankees or the Boston Red Sox, something high with a high global presence, it's going to be super good just to get people normalize crypto and comfortable with crypto. And if they're seeing Luna all over the place and they can start to pay for things in UST, I think that's a really great way to sort of spread the wares of Luna and what it's all about. Okay, so next up is the Galactic Grids and Colonies NFT drop. So just bringing up the Colonies NFT Twitter page. So they've got basically they're trying to bring out the Terraverse, a metaverse, and they're using this new primitive called Galactic Grids. So Galactic Grids, if we just delve into their site a little bit, they compare themselves to some other projects that are already established. One being on Ethereum, this one here, the XY coordinates project. So basically it's a metaverse map, and you can come and sort of stake your claim on a plot of land with different coordinates. So it's that kind of thing. But Galactic Grids is going to use 3 words as your coordinates that you get to choose out of this list. So the example they're saying is HODL, Luna, and Sir, just as an example. So that would become your home address, basically. So I think it's a bit further down. Maybe it's on the Colonies page. There's a good example of how this would work. So yeah, HODL, Luna, Sir. You've got a colony, a sector, and a home. So it's kind of interesting. It's sort of like your colony, they describe as your neighborhood. So HODL, you'd be in the HODL neighborhood. If you chose HODL as your first name, you would be in the Luna street, if you like. And then your individual name would be Sir. Your home would be known as Sir. So you could say, meet me at Sir in the Luna sector. And people are going to know that are part of this colony. They're going to know how to get to your home address, which is kind of cool. So Grids is kind of a primitive that things can be built on. It's not just colonies that's going to be built on it. Colonies is just the first thing. So Colonies is basically kind of like your home place to hang all your NFTs up on the wall. Almost not so much like a museum, but more like your pad, where you can invite your mates over and flex all your NFTs, which is kind of cool. They're making it so it's compatible with Twitter profiles and Facebook profiles, that kind of thing. And it's not just going to be for Terra NFTs over time. They'll be able to integrate other NFTs. So it's kind of cool. You can almost curate the NFTs that you want to display in your little pad and invite people over and hang. There'll be like, immersive chat type stuff over time, that sort of thing as well. Built into Colonies is basically a decentralized messaging platform as well. I'm not sure if they mention it in here or not. So that's one cool thing. Like, it's not easy to reach out to people directly and go, hey, I really like your NFT collection. We've got this common interest. Why don't we meet up and hang out? Or, hey, would you like to trade this NFT for this one? That sort of thing. So to be able to contact people directly and go and browse their curated NFTs, I think is pretty cool. It's definitely going to grow out over time. And the mint's dropping soon. So this is the list of words that you can choose. So each person can come in. I think they can mint up to 2 grids. So you need to choose your colony that you're in, the street that you're in, and the actual individual name. So, and it's first come, first serve. There can only be one of each address. Obviously, they need to be unique. So, there's some interesting word combinations here that you could create. Initially, the mint is for a small select number of whitelisted people. I think that would be hard to get into at this point. But if you own a Galactic Punk, you'll be able to mint a couple of these. And then if they don't sell out, there'll be a public mint as well. So I'll probably be trying to drag myself out of bed because I've got a Galactic Punk and try and mint myself one of these. So that'll be interesting. Obviously, these will trade on the secondary market as well. So you should be able to get in quite early and buy one, probably off Random Earth. So just something to keep an eye on. It's a new interesting NFT drop rather than just a profile picture thing. So that's quite cool. And I thought it was worth mentioning. So next up, Stata Labs, as I mentioned previously, I think in the last podcast, they've got this system where they're going to allow people to stake to individual validators. And this is the first announcement of that. So if we scroll down, they explain why. Stake Plus gives benefits like choose a validator of your choice. It converts all your stable coins to Luna that you receive as staking rewards. It auto compounds that Luna. You've got one-click airdrop collections, and then you'll have compounding strategies to choose from. But it also opens the door here for validators to offer extra benefits to stakers like content, subscriptions, airdrops, plus much more. So that's what I was talking about the other day with Dankuar opening up his own validator, and also mentioned Terabyte's pods. So it's really cool that these guys are in this first list. All of these guys are great. Orbital Command, they do a lot of good educational work. There's Galactic Punks, which we just talked about. Smart Stake, they do fantastic analytics. I'm not familiar with PFC. And CoinHall also have this subscription service. If you stake to them, it opens up extra value. So quite cool. I'm really interested to see how much adoption this gets and all the extra stuff that spins out, all this extra utility. Sometimes it's not just about money and economic value. Sometimes it's more about what else it can provide for you. So keep an eye on that. I think that's really, really interesting development. All right. So lastly, the Prism Forge is now live. So this is your chance to basically buy some of the Prism token. And I think I've explained this previously. I've got a video on this actually. So if you want to look that up, it goes into a lot more detail. But basically you come and deposit some UST and you'll be effectively taking some XPrism out of the pool at the end of this 5-day period. So we're 2 days in. Day 5 just is allows you to withdraw some of your UST if you want to, or all of it, if you do it in the first hour. People might want to do that because they need liquidity. But basically, you've still got another few days here to come in and essentially buy the token as it launches. So this tweet thread here from RyanLion was really cool. He's crunched some numbers based on some assumptions to try and work out in advance what sort of yield this protocol could generate. And he came to this figure here of 253% for staking XPrism. So buying the Prism token and staking it. So there's this Medium article here from Lune Evangelist, which basically pulls apart what, a guesstimation of what Prism could be or should be worth. Give that a read if you want more details. And then also, Lejimmy actually made this calculator based off that article where you can plug different things in here and work out for yourself where you think things are going to lie, which is quite cool. There's some assumptions that are made, and then there's a bunch of stuff that's not included, but it's still a pretty good tool for trying to calculate what the expected value could be. But RyanLion 253%, and that was based off the following assumptions. I think it's below. Yeah, so that was a price of 6 cents. It's now moved up to 7 because more money has flown in since he's done this only 4 hours ago. This would be assumed with 50% of Prism staked, a Luna price of $50, so that's accurate as of now basically. Staking yield of 10.4%, which is accurate. That's what you get for staking Luna. Now this is an assumption. A 2% market share, that would be 6 million Luna, which is similar to Stader Labs. I think that's a pretty fair assumption because this is going to be super popular, I think. And assuming that 85% of the Y Luna, the yielding Luna that's created, is staked. So that's a high figure, but probably because if you stake your Y Luna, you can farm XPrism. So it's probably a fair assumption as well. And then this last one is they're assuming $0 of income from LP positions and BETH, basically not factoring that in at this point. Now, where it's really interesting is if you tweak some of those assumptions, and if you had 35% of Prism staked, that's the rate of yield you'd get, 360%. If 80% of Y Luna is staked, you get 302%. If the market share is a little bit more, another 1% more, you get 380%. If the Luna price appreciates to $70 and the staking yield's 9.5%, then you'd get 323%. But if you get all 4 scenarios, all of these to happen, your yield will be 830%. Now, I don't think these assumptions are actually too crazy. The more yield you get, the more this is going to happen. Market share is going to go up because, as this nudges up and higher, more people are going to come in to Prism because they can see the value and the yield that it's going to generate. So, it's just a best effort guesstimation at this point, but this could actually be, quite a cool protocol that generates an awful lot of yield. So I'm not going to participate in this myself just yet. I'm sort of making sure that my loan to value ratio is safe before I redeploy funds. But I might actually just, in real time, looks like that's actually gone down. I don't know how that's happened. Let's just try and refresh that, because that said 5 million a second ago, and I thought you couldn't withdraw funds, so I'm a little confused by that. That's interesting. Perhaps it wasn't accurate. So what I'm going to wait to do is wait for the farming of Prism, where I'll deposit some Luna and I'll split it into P Luna and Y Luna, and I'll just farm the Prism token with my Y Luna, and I'll leave my P Luna as it is in case I want to recombine them and manage my my debt levels on Anchor. So I think that's a safe way to farm this token. Anyway, guys, that's all I've got time for today. I hope that's been informative, and thanks very much for listening.